Well, hello, party people. Welcome to the show. My name's Relevant, and this is Do All the Things. And today, we are going to be installing a Bare Knuckle Painkiller into this 8-string Harley Benton. So what is there to say about this guitar? It's a bit of a strange one, mostly because of the price. Apparently, the original owner acquired this guitar for about $350 shipped to his door, and that's in Canadian dollars. It's available on this website, thorman.de, and I'm guessing it's the R-458MN White Progressive Series. According to specifications, we have a maple neck and a basswood body. Well, mixed feelings about basswood. I guess for the price, you could do worse, you know? In that same price range back in the day, you'd get like a Fender Squier or one of those low-end Epiphones, and they'd be made straight up out of plywood. Not even an actual tone wood. So to have something resembling an actual tone wood in this guitar is that's quite surprising. Ibanez used basswood in their RGs for many years, and you know, it's like a dirty alder. It's not my favorite wood. It was hard to tone match with pickups and really get the sound I want out of it, but you know, again, you can do worse for the price. So let's count our blessings. The neck is interesting. I'm not used to it. It feels like I'm holding a 2x4 here. It has like a slight slant inwards, and it's thicker at the top than it is at the bottom. That's interesting. They tried to keep the neck profile thin, clearly, but had to beef it up near the end here. It's not bad though. Not the worst feeling guitar. I'm not used to the width, but I could probably play this. After having played this, I'm not sure an 8-string's for me, quite frankly, but hey, why not? Buddy bought this for the novelty because he wanted an 8-string, and he got it used for about $200. So as far as the fit and finish is, the tuning stability on it is kind of meh. But you know, that's because you got the cheap plastic nut that's gonna need some work. See my video where I do a nut finishing and first setup on a PRS SE Custom 24. It's gonna be the identical process. Also, I feel like the tuning machines could use a tightening. The action setup is kind of weird because we got, you know, saddles going like me all over the place. For instance, this guy, the E string here, she's sitting lower than the rest. Now, there are what resemble gouge marks in the bridge here. You can see it's all scratched up. So I don't think this is the stock setup. I can't tell you how this would have come stock from the factory. However, there is something very interesting going on with the electronics. We go ahead and pull off the back panel here. We got our foil here. What I'm assuming is electrically conductive paint. Well, let's double check here. Yes, indeed. It's electrically conductive paint. Electrically conductive paint is interesting. You know, you paint the inside here, and it creates the little Faraday cage that shields the electronics from outside interference. We got it strap it up here a little bit to contact the back plate. The back plate's foil, but yeah, again, they missed the sides. Now, the wiring in here isn't stock because we've messed with it already. So don't mind the switch positioning, that's been changed. Mind the pickup wiring. Now, one of the reasons why we messed with the wiring already on this thing is because it was done wrong. And I don't know if it came like this from the factory, but I'd hazard to guess it did because it didn't look like anyone else had worked in here. It didn't look like it'd been changed. Now, you see, we got two wires here. This one is for the bridge pickup, and this one is for the neck pickup. Now, the bridge pickup, we've corrected it, but the neck pickup, we have left it stock. Now, what you're gonna see here with the neck pickup is we have a black wire and a green wire grounding out to the pot. Then we have a white wire and a red wire tied together to the switch. This is wrong. That's setting the two coils in parallel. They're not supposed to be in parallel. For humbuckers, they're supposed to be in series. Now, there are parallel modes that work and sound well, especially in the neck pickup if you're playing cleans. Buddy doesn't solo or shred, so he opted to leave the parallel mode in the neck for his clean playing. However, completely unacceptable for the bridge when you're chugging out. Now, some people will tell you the impedance reading off a pickup tells you how high output or hot it's going to be. That's mostly true. It's more complicated than that, but generally the higher output a pickup is, the more impedance it has, because it has more coil windings, right? Now, if we test the impedance on the neck pickup, we get but 3.3K. That's because it's in a parallel mode, right? Per coil, we were getting 5 to 6K around there. Now let's try the bridge pickup. Oh, what's that? 14.5K. Yeah, see, that is a more correct reading for a bridge humbucker. So we went and rewired this. Now, if you have the Harley Benton, you might want to look into this. It quite possibly is going to sound way better after you do this modification. The wiring seems to be similar to DiMarzio. That's the problem. The color code on humbuckers isn't all the same. You kind of have to know what they have going on there and what coils do what. We were able to extrapolate by testing the individual coils. The green goes to ground along with the ground wire. Black and white get tied together like this, and then the red is the positive output. Wire it like that, and this pickup is going to sound proper. So the question on my mind is, how many people are out there rocking Harley Benton guitars not realizing that they're wired wrong? Not to say they're all like this, but this particular model or this sample is. Maybe that's something that got fixed. I don't know. But either way, if you have one of these, it's worth looking at. But that doesn't matter, because we're going to be changing out the pickup today. It's going to be getting a Bare Knuckle Painkiller. My buddy got a deal for this used, and well, it needed a little bit of configuration. See my other video for more information about this pickup. Now, before we go gutting on this pupper, let's go give her a taste test. I got an amp set up over here, not as much focus on mic placement. You know, it could be a little bit better, but it's going to be good enough for the taste test that we're doing. Got a bit of a hollow tone out of it. I don't know if it's the amp. That's an experimental amp, so not 100%. Maybe I should have got a different head over here. I don't know. Let's try the neck pickup. Immediately you notice a huge difference in output. I'd like to hear a bit more mid. Maybe they wired the pickups wrong for a reason. These guys, I don't know. Again, I'm playing an experimental rig here, but other guitars sound better on it. All right, well, let's tear into this guy and get that pickup swapped out. We're only changing the bridge pickup, by the way. The hardest part of wiring a pickup is the connection to the pot here. It requires a bit of nimbleness and timing, and some freezing spray. You do not want to overheat a pot or else you ruin it. And oh, look at that, the pot's loose even. It's also a good idea to make sure the pot is turned completely to one direction so that if it does get overheated, it doesn't burn a spot out on the board where the wiper's touching it. What are the chances we can change this out without having to pull everything apart? I'm good at trying to figure out how to change pickups without losing my tune. And it's going to be hard to do under these circumstances. Well, just gut out the hardware and see what we can do. We got these screws out. Get the quarter screws off the bezel. At least it's fresh wood. We're not worn out or anything. I've had guitars I've changed the pickups on them so many times, these holes start to get a little questionable. Oh, let's see what we have for springs. Shiny and cone shaped. Okay, well, this is going to come out easy enough. So what do we have here? Black metal back plate, flat, hasn't got the legs on it. But one thing you notice about these pickups is they are absolute units. Look at the size of them compared to the Painkiller. Would you just look at that? The pole pieces are in roughly the same position, but there is so much extra meat on the edge here, and it feels like it's all wound up there. Maybe these pickups have too much winding on them. Maybe they're too hot. Sometimes hotter is not always better. From my experience, mid-output pickups always sound better to me. Especially if you're plugging into high gain amps, you don't need all that output. Let the amp do the work, and your fingers. But I guess they have no standard in size here established yet, or Harley Benton's just oddball, because this guy is just like, what the? For that reason, we have a problem where stock, this pickup did not line up with the bezel plate. I had to do a modification where I bent the wings outwards to make them relatively flatter in order to get them to line up. Now, fortunately, we did get them lined up in the end, so that's good, but still, it was a close one. We almost didn't make it. Let's see if we mock it up here. The bezel's gonna go right about there. So if we put this over top of its prospective holes, yeah, it looks like we're gonna get good enough whole piece alignment. All right, so let's get this in there. I'm gonna twist all these wires up so that they kind of work together here. And then we gotta get them through the little hole. Fortunately, it's gaping. Some guitars, they have tiny little holes. It's tricky getting it in there, but this guy, it's got a gaping hole. It's just going right through. And carefully, without scratching the finish, we should just be able to slip this underneath there. Oh, the fingies are hitting the side. It doesn't fit. Oh boy, we're gonna have to call in a consultant. That needs to be nipped definitely smaller, and then we have to take this edge off. All righty, sir. Here we go. Oh, even with that vacuum, I still got little shavings all over me. It's just like I'm sprinkled with little gold dust now, sir. Yeah, well, we're not quite done yet. We just need to, you know, polish on that a bit. Just little finishing touches with the plain file. All right, this side feels good. Now the other. I feel my wax separated a bit right around here. Remember, careful with the heat. You can damage the magnet. All right now, back on track. How's my, sounds good. Check out my other video where I set up this pickup to understand why I'm tapping on it. So once again, let's try to get the wire back through the hole. Do or do not, there is no try. In this case, we just do it. Slip her back underneath. Oh yeah. Ah, yes, okay. She's gonna clear there nicely now. But there's a little couple pro tips I got going on. Let me go grab something. Foam. Foam is your best friend here. This is a trick I've been doing for years now, where I will stuff foam underneath the pickup to try to mitigate any feedback or, you know, issues of that nature. Kind of like how they stick, little headbands around the guitar neck during recording. It's easier to get under there when you don't have the other parts in place. Just kind of get it in there underneath the pickup. Now let's slide this guy in. Now obviously this trick's not going to work on every guitar. You also risk scratching the heck out of it, so proceed with caution. Let's just get that foam centered there. Now there's a possibility that foam's not going to be thick enough once I get the pickup seated where I want it, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Let's get the ring over top. We'll get a couple quarter screws in to help hold it. Now this is going to be easy because it's so gaping in here. It's going to be nothing to get these springs back into place. I'm going to go ahead and put in the last 2 quarter screws. Now that I know I'm going to get that spring in easy. Well, this one's big a little trickier, bud. Nothing I can't handle. All right, there it is. We're going to get height. Hold the strings down here. There's no rule for height. It's however you like the sound. You try to get it as close as possible and then move it down from there. Frick, look how gaping that is, bud. You know, the other trick I have is to stuff a bit of foam, usually EMG foam, between the spring and the pickup right around here. But that might, you know, we might actually need to put it around the other side because that's so loose on this side. And there's lots of room on the other side. We'll try this for now. But this is a trick I've been using for years to prevent the springs from vibrating. It looks a bit silly like this because it's so exposed, but I guess it'll do. But, you know, we're ready to wire this. Now, I'm notorious for maintaining all the slack because I'm never sure my pickup's officially going to get installed into. Now, the last guy just used tape. That's slop. Get the frick out of here. In the big leagues, we use heat shrink tubing. We don't even really need it on that end there. We'll stick some on for good measure. Not that I'm happy with this solder job. Tack a little freshness on there. Snap off his crap end. You know, seal it over. I'm gonna get a larger piece here. Slip it over, fold the wires back, slip it over, slip it over, slip it over, and put it over that loose wire, just like that. And there you go, that's a little bit better. And then this slop here, that's also subject to controversy. Just need a little bit snippet for that. This is 4 mil, and the smaller piece was 2 mil. Right here where it meets. There, that's nicer looking. All right, so according to the wiring diagram, black at bare is ground, red is positive. Bust out my magical snippers that only work well on only work well on small wires. Oof, this ground wire is a touch frayed. I'm afraid we need to snip some slack off here. Give them a good twisting. Solder them together. Let's get the red wire ready. Let's get the hole it goes in ready. Get that started tucking in there. I'm gonna start with the red wire. I'm gonna give it a tinning. And this is where stuff gets surgical, because you don't just want to stick that wire through the hole and tack it up. You're gonna have issues with the tone if you do that. You want to get that wire nice and wrapped around that contact point. Nice and wrapped. To the point where you would get a good signal, even if it wasn't soldered. You don't want to depend on the solder to make the signal. Now it needs a little bit of tension to keep it tight, or else it's gonna float. Then we're tacking her down. Bear in mind, we've modified on the wiring in this guitar, so the position I'm soldering to the switch isn't necessarily the position you would use in yours. Now to finish things up, we have to get the solder glob on the pot all wet. And get in there and tack it down. This pickup should be ready to rip. Let's plug it in and find out. Height looks good, alignment looks good. Didn't even lose tune. So the only problem I'm having is a bit of a feedback issue. Watch this. I can literally feel the pickup vibrating when that feedback kicks in. It has to do with, like, because this situation is so wide here and because they're kind of spread out, it's allowing this thing to resonate too much. So that's one of the reasons why we have the foam underneath, but apparently we don't have enough. I'm gonna have to get more underneath there, which means I have to take the thing all back out again, unless it's foam influencing the resonance. That's entirely possible. Nah, it's barely touching the foam that's underneath there. Definitely gonna need more foam. Yeah, definitely gonna need more foam. Now, fortunately, we got enough slack on that wire that we can kind of tug this guy back out without having to unsolder it. We gotta go find a thicker piece of foam. Let's see, or double it up. We got this guy, he's a bit flimsier, but thicker. This is more firm. We'll try this one first, the firm one. All right, now we gotta be able to slip that pickup back over top of that, or what? Just to make this easier, we're gonna loosen the F sharp string, even though that's the hardest one to get back into tune. Just gotta work it in there. Yeah, I'm giving in and loosen some more strings. Being very careful not to scratch the finish, right? All right. Oh yeah, look at that. There's so much foam there, it's just gonna suspend right on top of it. Just gotta kind of get it a little bit better aligned underneath there. All right, let's get the ring back in. Let's get the springs back on there. And let's get the quarter screws back in. Let's get the strings tuned back up, or at least tensioned. All right, now let's get our height set. Actually looks pretty good right there. A little more on this side. Now, let's see if it's gonna resonate. Pickups up too high, too close, too... Oh, nice. Oh boy, I'm having trouble tuning it by ear, but then the amp's too damn loud so it records well. So I'm kind of getting but I'm seeing a lot more of a crunchy defined mid. Yeah, that's almost a cliche to say that, but that's kind of like what you're going for, guitars. So that's what everybody's trying to achieve. This one sounded a bit more hollow and more washed out. This one got rid of some of those high-end transients that go got rid of some of the fuzz and gave us more crunch. Definitely more note to be heard. Now, as for that resonance, that feedback, that droning, that has to do with, you know, literally I feel the pickup vibrating. So partly, you know, maybe spreading out those legs there kind of put it in a precarious position where it has the opportunity to resonate more. It's better now that I've stuffed more foam underneath of it, but it seems like it's going to need more fine tuning to prevent that from happening. Let's try stuffing the foam behind the pickup springs. You got to get the thing tight. You got to accurize it. Looks like that might have done it. It might do them more at higher volumes there, but you know, we just got to fill this guy in. That's going to require a little bit of experimentation, which is beyond the scope of this video. This video is about the absurdity of installing this pickup into this guitar. I don't know what they were thinking with their pickups, using these big freaking beasts that are hard to replace. Are there other makes and models of pickups on the market that are this big? Are the Seymour Duncans this size? Is Painkiller unique? And how is it cheaper to use a non-standard size? That means they have special order bezels and everything else. Wouldn't standard sizes be more cost effective? Well, the price point on these pickups must be real low. And the wiring, what was up with that? Was it changed and tampered with? It looked stock. Or did they really just get that wrong? Or decide it sounded better that way because these pickups just sound too bright and crappy in normal series mode? Those are mysteries. But I hope you enjoyed this. Just a little simple wiring video, or at least that's what was intended. But now, buddy has an upgrade. Because as I told him when he was like, is this pickup good? I like the price. I says to him, you know what? Anything's gonna be better than what you have. So, hey, why not? Now, how does this pot come off? It is really tight. Oh, there it goes. Where the frick are my pliers, bud? Oh, they're over by the consultant. Okay, I'll get up.